The first time I died, I was wearing a silver formal dress I had bought secondhand, one broken heel, and a corsage that was never meant for me. Glitter from the school dance was stuck to my wet cheeks like tiny pieces of broken glass, and behind me, through the open doors of the gymnasium, I could still hear everyone laughing at the video Vanessa Gray had played on the big screen. It was a video of me crying at lunch, begging my so-called friends not to leave me alone before the dance. My voice had cracked in it. My hands had twisted together in my lap. I had said, "Please, I already paid for the table," and Vanessa had zoomed in on my face, as if my humiliation was something precious that needed preserving. At the time, I did not know she was recording. At the dance, she played it during the senior memory montage with a pink caption, "When someone takes prom too seriously." The whole grade laughed because they thought it was a joke. Then, when I tried to defend myself, she cried harder than I did and said I had stolen the group's table money, threatened her, and ruined her final school dance out of jealousy. By midnight, I was running down the rain-slick front steps after the limousine that had left without me, my dress dragging through dirty water, my chest burning, my phone dead, my mother still working a double shift and unable to answer. I remember my heels snapping, the world tilting, the stone edge of the steps rushing upward, and Vanessa's laughter fading into sirens. My last thought before the dark was not about revenge. It was smaller, sadder, and more humiliating than that. I thought I should have sat alone sooner. When I opened my eyes again, I was not on wet concrete. I was standing in the cafeteria line holding a tray with a chicken wrap, a green apple, and a carton of chocolate milk I had not bought since the week before the dance. My heart lurched so violently the tray almost fell from my hands. Around me, Ashford College's cafeteria roared with normal lunchtime chaos. Chairs scraping, boys arguing over basketball, girls laughing too loudly at phones, the smell of fries and disinfectant mixing in the air. Above the serving counter, the digital notice board flashed, "Moonlight Masquerade Dance, this Friday night." My lungs forgot how to work. Friday. The dance was still 4 days away. I turned slowly toward the long window table where I had sat every lunch for 2 years with Vanessa, Poppy, Sienna, and Claire, the girls who called me their sister when they needed homework help, money collected, decorations finished, rides arranged, or excuses made. Vanessa was already there, perfect as ever, blonde waves over one shoulder, pearl earrings glowing against her skin, smile bright enough to pass as kindness if you had not watched it sharpen in another life. My usual chair had been pulled away. In its place sat a designer handbag. In my first life, that chair had broken me. I had walked over holding my tray like an offering, and Poppy had looked at the handbag, then at me and giggled. Vanessa had sighed gently, as if I had arrived at a private conversation by mistake. "Mira, don't be weird," she had said. "We just need to finalize dance stuff with the actual table group." Actual table group. I had stood there while the words sank in, trying to understand how I could be responsible for organizing the dance table but not belong at it. I had paid the reservation deposit from the cash everyone gave me because Vanessa said the school payment portal was glitching. I had spent 3 Saturdays helping Claire pick a dress, 2 evenings making Sienna's hair appointment, and an entire Sunday cutting silver moons out of cardboard for Vanessa's photo backdrop. But suddenly, on the Monday before the dance, I was extra. In the first life, I panicked. I begged. I reminded them I had paid. Asked what I did wrong. I lowered my voice, then raised it, then cried, which was exactly what Vanessa needed. She recorded from her lap, camera angled upward, while Poppy and Sienna exchanged shocked little looks for the performance. I gave them the scene they later turned into my public execution. This time, I looked at the handbag in my chair and felt the old pain rise like a wave. For 1 second, 17-year-old Mira Santos wanted to plead again. She wanted to ask why, to prove she belonged, to remind them of every favor like loyalty could be invoiced. But the dead girl inside me was older. She remembered the wet steps. She remembered the video. She remembered how laughter sounds when hundreds of people receive permission to stop seeing you as human. So I shifted my tray to my left hand, walked past Vanessa's table without slowing, and sat alone at the small round table beside the vending machines. Not the dramatic corner table where lonely girls cry in movies. The ugly table. The one with a wobbling leg, a scratched surface, and a view of the recycling bins. I placed my tray down, pulled out the chair, sat, and took a bite of my wrap. It tasted like cardboard and resurrection. The cafeteria did not go silent. Life is rarely that generous. But the people who mattered noticed. Vanessa's laugh paused mid-note. Poppy leaned toward her and whispered. Sienna glanced at me, then away, like she had expected a firework and gotten a closed door instead. Claire looked uncomfortable, which was her main personality whenever cruelty required effort. I kept eating. Every bite felt impossible. My hands shook under the table, so I folded them in my lap between bites where nobody could see. The first rule of surviving a second life, I decided, was not looking like you knew the script. The second rule was not giving villains the scene they rehearsed for. Vanessa finally stood and walked toward me with her phone in one hand, screen dark, camera probably ready. Mira, she said, sweet and concerned. Why are you sitting over here? I swallowed slowly. There wasn't a chair. Her smile flickered. We were saving space for dance planning. I figured. You could have asked. I looked at her then, really looked, and saw the faint irritation under the concern.
She wanted me to ask. She needed me to ask.
I didn't want to interrupt. The words were polite. The refusal inside them was not. Vanessa sat opposite me, without being invited. That was one of her gifts, entering spaces like the world had already reserved them. Don't be dramatic, she whispered, still smiling for the cafeteria. We're not excluding you. It's just complicated because Tyler asked for an extra seat and Poppy's cousin might come, and we thought maybe since you weren't bringing a date. I'm not upset, I said. That was not true, but truth has timing, and my feelings were not hers to use. Vanessa's eyes narrowed a fraction. You look upset. Then I'll work on my face. A laugh burst from someone at the next table. Vanessa heard it. Her cheeks flushed pink, but she recovered instantly. Mira, I'm trying to help you. If you sit alone, people will talk. In my first life, that threat would have moved me back into place. This time, I looked around the cafeteria. People were already talking. They always talked. I had spent years trying to behave well enough to control mouths that enjoyed motion. Let them, I said. Vanessa's smile, finally, went flat. Only for a second. Then she stood, touched my shoulder like a saint blessing a difficult child, and said loudly, Come back when you're ready to stop punishing us. The performance was perfect. The difference was that I did not chase her. The first person to sit with me was not one of my friends. That was the point. Iris Chin arrived 3 minutes after Vanessa left, carrying a lunchbox covered in faded cat stickers and wearing the cautious expression of someone approaching a stray animal that might bite. Iris was in photography club, quiet enough to be mistaken for shy and observant enough to be dangerous. We had spoken maybe 6 times in 3 years. The most meaningful was last term, when I found her crying in the art corridor because a group of boys had edited one of her portraits into a meme. I had reported it anonymously, not because I was brave, but because I knew what it felt like to be laughed at for existing in the wrong frame. I never told her it was me. She knew anyway, apparently, because she placed her lunchbox on the table and said, This seat taken? My throat tightened.
No, she said.
Not dramatically. Not like she was joining a movement. She simply opened her lunchbox and took out rice balls wrapped in foil. After a minute, she said, Your old table looks confused.
I glansde over.
Vanessa was not looking at us, which meant she was absolutely looking at us through reflective surfaces. Good, I said. Iris nodded. Confusion is underrated. The second person came because of Iris. Livia Hart, captain of the drama club and terror of substitute teachers, slid into the chair beside her with a packet of hot chips and a black satin ribbon tied around her wrist. I had always thought Livia hated me because she rolled her eyes whenever Vanessa spoke to me. In my first life, I learned too late that Livia did not hate me. She hated watching me volunteer for my own execution. So, Livia said, stealing one of Iris's rice balls without asking and getting slapped on the hand, Is this the exile table or the finally developed a spine table? I almost choked on my chocolate milk. Iris said, "Be normal for one meal."
I'm allergic.
Livia looked at me. Vanessa told everyone you were having a mood because she couldn't fit you into the limo. My fingers tightened around the milk carton. Already.
Please.
She started last period. Livia dipped a chip in ketchup. She said she's heartbroken because she knows you're sensitive about not having a date. The old Mira would have shrunk. Reborn Mira took a slow breath. Did she say anything about the table money? Livia's expression sharpened. Not yet. Should she have? There it was, the first shadow of the trap. By the end of lunch, our ugly vending machine table had 4 people. The fourth was Noor Patel from Student Council, who arrived holding a clipboard and looking like she had lost a fight with a printer. Noor and I had worked together on dance ticket check-in forms. She was kind in the busy way of people who show care by making spreadsheets nobody thanks them for. She stopped beside the table, looked at me, looked at Livia, looked at Iris, then said, "This is unexpected." Livia raised a chip. "We're forming a cult. Dress code undecided." Noor ignored her and turned to me. "Vanessa asked me whether your table payment could be refunded and reassigned." My skin went cold. "My table payment?" She said since you were reconsidering attending, the group might need to restructure. Livia whistled. Iris's gaze went very still. In my first life, Vanessa had used my panic at lunch to argue I had emotionally withdrawn from the dance group after financial confusion. Then, when the reservation money disappeared, she said I had been the last person handling it. I had been too busy trying to get my seat back to notice the financial trap forming under the social one. This time, I opened my phone and typed one message into the dance group chat while all 3 girls watched. I wrote, "Just confirming, since my seat at lunch was given away and Vanessa said dance planning is now for the actual table group, I'm no longer responsible for your table payment, limo payment, or seating changes. Vanessa, please confirm you're handling your group's money from now on."
Ihavotowasin.
My heart pounded so hard the screen blurred. In my first life, I had believed directness was rude. I had believed clarity hurt feelings. That was how girls like Vanessa survived. They trained everyone around them to treat confusion as politeness. I pressed send. Across the cafeteria, Vanessa looked down at her phone.
Her posture changed.
Poppy's mouth opened. Sienna grabbed Vanessa's wrist. Claire stared at me like I had thrown a chair. For 30 seconds, nobody replied. Then Vanessa typed, "Mira, don't make this awkward. We'll talk later." I replied, "I need it in writing before I give anyone money or forms." Noor leaned over my shoulder and murmured, "Good." Livia grinned. Iris quietly took a photo of the screen, not because I asked, but because real friends sometimes understand evidence before you explain the war. Vanessa did not confirm. That was answer enough. After lunch, the day became a study in social weather. People who had ignored me for years suddenly watched where I sat. Poppy passed me in the hallway and whispered, "You're embarrassing yourself." But her eyes darted toward my phone. Sienna texted me privately, "You know Vanessa has been stressed. Don't punish everyone." Claire sent 3 typing bubbles and no message, which was the most Claire thing she had ever done. In maths, Vanessa turned in her seat and gave me the soft, wounded look that had once made teachers ask if she was okay before asking what happened. I looked through her. Not because I was unaffected. I was so affected I could barely solve a quadratic. But the third rule of a second life was this: do not feed the version of you they know how to defeat. After school, Noor found me outside the library with 2 printouts and the face of someone trying not to commit a felony with office supplies. "I checked the dance payment records," she said quietly. "Your name is attached to the reservation request, but the payment receipt was never uploaded." My stomach dropped. "I paid cash to Vanessa." "I know. She told Ms. Kelly she would upload the receipt after school today." "There is no receipt." "Exactly." Noor handed me the printouts. "Also, your group's limo booking is not under your name. It's under Vanessa's and it only lists 6 passengers. Our group had been 8. In my first life, when I ran after the limo, I thought they had forgotten me in the chaos. Now I understood. They had never booked me in the first place. The humiliation video, the missing money, the dance exclusion, the accusation, it had all been arranged like table settings. My knees weakened. Noor saw and grabbed my elbow. Mira?
I'm okay.
You don't look okay. I laughed once, sharp and ugly. I'm just realizing I died for a seat that was never mine. Noor did not understand the sentence, but she did not ask me to explain before helping me sit on the library steps. That was the first time that day I almost cried. Tuesday lunch, I sat at the vending machine table again. Not because I had nowhere else to sit now, but because choosing it felt like reclaiming the ugliest corner of the cafeteria and making it witness. Iris arrived first with 2 juice boxes and no comment. Noor arrived with her own lunch and 3 more printed records because apparently she coped with injustice through administration. Livia arrived wearing sunglasses indoors because betrayal lighting is harsh. Then, to my surprise, Marco Reyes sat down. Marco was the kind of boy people described as nice, only after they needed help moving a piano. He was on tech crew, broad-shouldered, quiet, and so used to being treated like stage furniture that people forgot he heard everything while setting up microphones. He placed a folded napkin in front of me. On it was written, "Vanessa asked Tyler if the video from yesterday was usable." My mouth went dry. What video? Marco looked uncomfortable. She had her phone under the table when she came to talk to you. I was at the sound booth testing cables and saw the reflection in the trophy case. Iris's head snapped up. Livia muttered something vicious. Marco added, "I don't think she got what she wanted." You didn't cry. You didn't cry. For words. A pathetic victory, maybe. A massive one, actually. That lunch became the beginning of something I did not know how to trust. People joined slowly, then all at once. Not the popular kind of joining, where everyone wants a photo. The quiet kind. The real kind. A junior named Talia brought back the silver cardboard moons I had cut for Vanessa's backdrop because she found them dumped behind the auditorium. "I thought these were yours," she said. They were. I had made each one by hand. Iris photographed them against the scratch table and said they looked better there. Marco told us the dance montage folder was accessible to tech crew and that Vanessa had submitted 3 video files labeled friendship_final, friendship_funny, and backup_use_if needed. Nor discover Vanessa had asked Ms. Kelly to list me as payment coordinator for the table despite refusing to confirm it in chat. Livia, who had drama club keys she absolutely should not have had, knew that Vanessa's group had requested a private photo moment before the dance court announcement. By the time lunch ended, my ugly table was not a pity table. It was a command center disguised as teenagers eating cafeteria fries. The strange thing about finding real friends is that it hurts before it heals. Every kindness from them illuminated something I had accepted from Vanessa as normal. When Iris waited for me after class without asking for anything, I remembered all the times Vanessa said, "Walk with me," then spent the walk talking on the phone. When Noor explained the payment system so I would understand my own risk, I remembered Vanessa calling me paranoid whenever I asked for receipts. When Livia said, "You don't have to answer that text right now," I remembered how Vanessa used silence as a timer, sending question marks until guilt dragged me back. Marco did not say much, but he always walked on the outside of the footpath when our group left school between us and the traffic, and the first time he did it I had to look away because my body remembered wet steps and sirens. Real friendship did not feel like fireworks. It felt like slowly realizing how cold you had been after someone handed you a blanket. Vanessa changed tactics on Wednesday. She stopped acting hurt and became generous. That was more dangerous. She arrived at my locker with a pale blue garment bag over her arm and a face full of forgiveness. Students slowed down immediately. Vanessa knew hallways were theaters with lockers. "Mira," she said softly, "I hate this. We've both been emotional." I said nothing. She held out the garment bag. "I found a dress that matches our table theme. I thought maybe this could be a reset." In my first life, I would have taken it because I had worn a second-hand silver dress I was secretly embarrassed about. Vanessa knew that. She knew exactly where money lived under my skin. The garment bag was not kindness. It was a hook covered in satin. "No, thank you," I said. A few girls nearby looked shocked. Vanessa's eyes watered instantly. "You haven't even looked." "I don't need to. It's a gift." "Then give it to someone at your table." The hallway went still. For the first time, Vanessa's voice sharpened in public. "You're making me look cruel." Livia, who had appeared beside me like a summoned demon, said, "No, babe, you're handling that yourself." Someone laughed. Vanessa's tears vanished so quickly, I almost admired the efficiency. By Thursday morning, the fake story finally showed itself. Vanessa posted in the dance group chat, "I'm really sad to say this, but our table payment is still missing and Mira is refusing to discuss it maturely. I don't want drama before the dance, but everyone deserves transparency." My hands went cold, but this time I was not alone when the message arrived. I was at the vending machine table before school with Iris, Noor, Livia, Marco, and Talia, who had been officially adopted by our chaos despite being a junior. Noor took my phone gently, like it was evidence at a crime scene. "Do not reply emotionally." Livia cracked her knuckles. "Can I reply emotionally?" "No," Noor and Iris said together. I breathed. Then I sent, "I asked you Monday to confirm in writing that you were handling your group's payments after my seat was removed. You did not confirm. I have not held money for your group since. Please upload any receipt showing I received or controlled the missing payment." Noor followed in the official dance committee chat, not the private group. For record keeping, all dance payments must be supported by receipts. No student should be listed as payment coordinator without written confirmation. Please send any concerns to Ms. Kelly. It was beautiful. Administrative.
Deadly.
Vanessa did not respond for 18 minutes. Those 18 minutes changed the school more than the accusation did. People began asking questions before Vanessa could supply answers. Poppy texted, "Wait, I gave my cash to Vanessa after lunch Monday." Sienna wrote, "Same." Claire, finally developing a spine under pressure, added, "I thought Vanessa was uploading it." The group chat became a room where the lights had suddenly turned on. Vanessa replied, "I was collecting on Myra's behalf because she was upset." That was almost clever. Almost. Iris sent the screenshot of my Monday message. The timestamp sat there like a locked door. I had asked Vanessa to confirm responsibility before any money changed hands. She had not. Poppy sent 3 question marks. Sienna went silent. Claire wrote, "Vanessa, did you book the limo for all of us?" No response. Livia leaned across the table and whispered, "That sound you hear is a queen bee discovering receipts." For the first time since I woke Reborn, I laughed without feeling like I was stealing the sound from someone else. Friday, the day of the dance, arrived under a sky so blue it felt insulting.
No rain. Not yet.
Ashford College buzzed with hairspray, fake tans, last-minute nails, and the special insanity of teenagers pretending a decorated gymnasium was a royal court. I kept waiting for fear to ruin me. It came in waves. When I saw the front steps where I had fallen in my first life, my knees weakened. When I passed the gym and heard tech crew testing the speakers, I heard the phantom laughter from the video that no longer existed. When Vanessa walked past me in a white dress with silver beading, looking like a winter princess designed by committee, I tasted blood because I had bitten the inside of my cheek. But then Iris appeared with her camera around her neck and said, "Your dress is perfect." It was not expensive. It was black velvet from a thrift store, altered by my mother the night before while muttering that rich girls had too much audacity and not enough consequences. Noor adjusted one of my straps. Livia placed a tiny silver moon pin on my shoulder, one of the decorations Talia had rescued. Marco gave me a wrist corsage made of white ribbon and fake stars from the drama storage box. It was ridiculous. It was perfect. It was meant for me. We arrived at the dance together. Not in a limousine. In Marco's older sister's minivan, which smelled faintly of lemon cleaner and football boots. Livia called it peasant transport with elite emotional value. My mother took photos in the driveway, crying behind her phone. She did not know about the first life, but she knew enough. Mothers always know when their daughters are trying not to break. Leo, my little brother, yelled from the doorway, "If anyone bullies you, text me." I'm small, but I bite. That made everyone laugh, including me. The school gym had been transformed into moonlight masquerade with navy drapes, silver stars, fairy lights, and the cardboard moons I had made now hanging above the side wall instead of Vanessa's private backdrop. Talia had insisted. Public moonlight, she said solemnly, like a tiny revolutionary. When we entered, people looked. They were expecting lonely Mira, angry Mira, excluded Mira. They got a girl walking in with 5 people who had chosen the ugly table and stayed. Vanessa's plan did not die easily. Girls like her always keep a backup blade. Her table was near the front, decorated with white roses and silver place cards. Mine, or rather ours, was table 9 near the side exit, technically worse but emotionally safer. The first half hour passed with music, photos, and the awkward early dance milling where everyone pretends not to care who is watching. Then Miss Kelly approached our table looking stressed. "Mira, can I speak with you?" My stomach dropped. Behind her, Vanessa stood near the photo booth with Poppy and Sienna, eyes fixed on us. "Of course," I said. Nor stood too. Ms. Kelly hesitated. "Just Mira." Nor smiled politely, which was scarier than Livia's glare. "I'm on dance committee finance. If this concerns payment records, I should be present." Ms. Kelly blinked. "Fair." We followed her to the side hall, where the air smelled like dust and extension cords. She held a clipboard. "Vanessa says there's still confusion about the missing table balance and that you may have collected funds earlier in the week." My old life flashed so hard I almost stumbled. The hallway. The accusation. Me alone. This time, Nor opened her folder before I spoke. It took 6 minutes to kill the lie officially. 6 minutes. That was the insult of it. In my first life, the accusation ruined months because I had entered the conversation crying, ashamed, and alone. In this life, with timestamps, group chat screenshots, payment policies, and Nora's terrifyingly organized printouts, the lie collapsed like wet paper. Ms. Kelly's expression shifted from concern to confusion to anger. She was too professional to show fully. "So, Vanessa collected money after you had already removed yourself from handling the group payment?" "Yes," Nor said. "And she requested Mira remain listed as coordinator despite no written confirmation?" "Yes." "And the limo booking?" "Not school managed, but the passenger list Vanessa sent excludes Mira and Claire." Ms. Kelly looked up. "Claire too." I almost laughed. Vanessa had not only planned to remove me. She had overbooked her own betrayal. Ms. Kelly took a deep breath. "I will handle this." In school language, that usually means go away. This time, it sounded like a promise with teeth. We returned to the gym just as the senior memory montage began. My body went cold. This was where the video had played in my first life. My hand found Iris's wrist without thinking. She squeezed once. "I checked the files," she whispered. "No lunch video." I exhaled shakily. The first clips were harmless. Sports carnival, camp, teachers dancing badly. Year 7 photos that made everyone scream. Then the screen went black, for half a second too long. Iris stiffened. Marco, standing near the tech booth, looked up sharply. A clip began playing without music. It showed me in the cafeteria on Monday, sitting alone at the vending machine table. My stomach dropped through the floor. Vanessa had recorded after all. But the clip did not show me crying. It showed Vanessa sitting opposite me, smiling too sweetly, saying, "If you sit alone, people will talk." Then my own voice, calm and clear. "Let them." The clip froze there. A caption appeared, not pink, not cruel, but white text on black. "Sometimes people do. Sometimes the right ones sit down." For a moment, I thought Vanessa had somehow developed a conscience, which was obviously unreasonable. Then I saw Iris near the tech booth, one hand on the control laptop, eyes wide with the expression of someone who had improvised and was now waiting to see if she had committed social arson. Later, she explained that Vanessa had submitted the cafeteria clip privately as backup_use_if_ needed, probably planning to twist it into something pathetic. But because I had not cried, because I had not begged, the raw footage told a different story. Iris made a choice. She played the truth. The gym was silent. Then Livia stood at our table and clapped once. Noor joined.
Marco. Talia.
Someone from drama club. Then Poppy, surprisingly, looking pale and furious in a direction that was no longer mine. The applause spread unevenly, awkwardly, but it spread. Vanessa stood frozen near the photo booth, her face white under the fairy lights. Then Claire started crying. Not elegant Vanessa crying. Real, humiliated, angry crying. She pushed away from the front table and walked straight to Ms. Kelly, who was already moving toward Vanessa. I could not hear everything over the music starting again, but I saw Claire holding up her phone, saw Poppy join her, saw Sienna cross her arms and refuse to look at Vanessa. Later, I learned Claire had been excluded from the limo too because Vanessa wanted room for Tyler's cousin, but Vanessa had told her the passenger list was my responsibility. Vanessa had built too many lies on the assumption that everyone would ask me instead of each other. Once the asking changed direction, her whole dance court cracked. Ms. Kelly took Vanessa into the side hall. Tyler followed, then came back alone looking like a boy who had discovered dating a queen bee meant being stung in public. The dance did not stop. That was strange and perfect. In my first life, my humiliation swallowed the night. In this one, Vanessa's exposure became only one part of it. People whispered yes. People stared yes. But the music continued. The fairy lights kept glowing. Someone spilled soda near the DJ booth. A boy split his pants during a dance battle and became, mercifully, the next scandal. Life moved, and for once, it did not move over my body. At table 9, Livia declared that since I had survived attempted social assassination, I owed the group one dance. I said I did not dance. Noor said nobody danced well at school dances, and that was legally the point. Marco offered his hand like we were in an old movie, then ruined it by tripping over Talia's chair. Iris took photos of everything, not the kind that steal dignity, but the kind that preserve ridiculous joy. Eventually, I stood. The song was fast, stupid, and impossible not to laugh through. I danced badly. So did everyone else. For 3 minutes, I was not reborn, not betrayed, not strategic. I was just a girl in a black velvet dress with a fake star corsage, laughing under paper moons I had made with my own hands. Near the end of the night, Vanessa returned. No friends beside her.
No Tyler.
No glowing court. Her makeup had been repaired, but her eyes were red in a way concealer could not fully forgive. She found me by the side doors, where I had stepped out for air. The sky had finally clouded, but no rain had fallen. The front steps were dry. I kept looking at them anyway. Vanessa stood beside me, leaving just enough distance to claim peace, and just little enough to feel like invasion. "You must be proud," she said. In my first life, I would have said no automatically because pride in surviving cruelty felt too close to cruelty itself. This time, I considered it. A little. Her mouth tightened. "You turned everyone against me."
No, Vanessa.
"I stopped standing between you and what you were doing." She laughed softly, bitterly. "You always act innocent, like you weren't desperate to be at our table." That one still hurt. Not because it was false, but because it had been true once. I had been desperate. Lonely girls are easy to shame because wanting friendship feels childish when it is used against you. I said. That's why it worked the first time.
She stared.
What? I looked at the steps, at the place where another version of me had fallen through rain and laughter. Nothing. Vanessa folded her arms. "You think those people are your real friends now? Iris? Livia? Noor? Please. They're only with you because drama makes them feel important." The old poison tried to enter. For 1 second, I saw the ugly table again and wondered whether belonging was always just a temporary arrangement before the next humiliation. Then the side door opened. Iris stuck her head out. "Mira, Livia is trying to start a conga line, and Noor says it violates traffic flow." Behind her, Marco shouted. "It does." Talia yelled, "Cowards." Noor's voice rose, offended and precise. "I am not a coward. I am preventing injury." Iris looked from me to Vanessa and back again. She did not ask if she was interrupting something important. She already knew she was interrupting something toxic. "You coming?" she asked. 2 words. No pressure. No performance.
A choice.
Vanessa saw my face change before I did. That was the moment she lost the last piece of me. "Yeah," I said. "I'm coming." The formal consequences arrived the following week. Vanessa received a suspension from dance committee activities, a mandatory meeting with parents, and a ban from holding student event funds for the rest of the year. The school did not call it attempted framing. Schools prefer terms like miscommunication, poor judgment, and inappropriate recording. Ms. Kelly apologized to me in her office with the exhausted sincerity of an adult who had almost missed something ugly. "I should have required receipts from the beginning," she said. "I wanted to say yes, you should have. I also wanted to say thank you for finally seeing me." Both things were true. I said, "Please require them next time." Nor looked proud when I told her. Livia said I should have demanded financial compensation and a crown. Iris said crowns were visually overrated and less rusted or haunted. Marco asked if we could stop discussing dance trauma long enough to eat lunch.
We did.
At the vending machine table. The table became ours after that. Not officially. No one assigns cafeteria territory unless they are socially unwell, and Ashford had enough of that already. But day after day we returned. Sometimes all of us, sometimes only 2, sometimes new people drifting in because the table had somehow become known as the place where you could sit if your old friends were being weird, if you needed a quiet lunch, if you wanted Nora's help with forms, if you wanted Livia's brutally accurate opinion, if you wanted Iris to take a photo where you did not look posed, if you wanted Marco to fix a broken zipper or a broken speaker or, occasionally, a broken mood. It was still ugly. The legs still wobbled. The recycling bins still smelled suspicious after fish stick days. But I loved it. I loved it because nobody had to earn the chair by shrinking. Nobody recorded pain for later. Nobody called cruelty honesty, and then honesty cruelty. Sometimes, people asked whether I regretted not exposing Vanessa immediately. The answer changed depending on the day. Part of me wished I could have marched into Ms. Kelly's office Monday morning, shown proof from a life no one remembered, and ended it before my stomach spent a week tied in knots. But I know better. Truth without timing can look like paranoia. Pain without witnesses can be renamed drama. If I had accused Vanessa before she moved, she would have cried, handed me the dress, told everyone I was unstable, and found another way to make me the villain. Sitting alone at lunch was not passive. It was the first move in a game I had lost once by trying too hard to be chosen. I did not defeat Vanessa by becoming crueler than her. I defeated her by refusing to perform the part she wrote for me.
No begging. No chasing. No empath no crying clip.
No lonely girl running after a limo that was never coming back. The strangest part of my second life was not revenge. It was grief for the first one. Even after the dance ended safely, even after Vanessa's lie collapsed, even after my new friends filled my days with arguments and laughter and terrible cafeteria fries, I sometimes woke at night with my body braced for impact. I would feel the broken heel, the wet step, the sharp flash of pain before darkness. Then I would hear my phone buzz and find a message from the group chat. Livia sending a dramatic selfie with the caption, "Still alive, unfortunately for my enemies." Nor reminding everyone to bring permission notes for the beach cleanup. Iris sending a blurry photo of a moon and saying it looked like one of mine. Marco texting, "Does anyone know why Talia put googly eyes on my toolbox?" The present became a rope. Every message pulled me back from the dead girl on the stairs. A month after the dance, I took the silver formal dress from my first life out of the back of my wardrobe. In this life, I had never worn it to the dance. It still hung in its plastic dry cleaning bag, secondhand, delicate, pretty in a sad way. My mother found me looking at it and asked if I wanted to donate it. I almost said yes. Then I thought of the girl who died in it. She had been foolish, maybe, desperate, definitely. But she had also been me, and she had deserved better than being erased because she wanted a seat at the table.
Not yet, I said.
Mum nodded like she understood more than I had told her. Then we'll keep it. We hung it back up, not as a wound, but as evidence. Not Every version of you survives. The ones that do should remember the ones that did not. Near graduation, Ashford held a smaller spring social, nothing like moonlight masquerade.
No formal tables.
No limousine drama. Just music on the oval, food trucks, and fairy lights strung between trees. I almost did not go, because the word dance still carried ghosts. Then Talia barged into our lunch table and announced she had made everyone matching moon pins out of clay, for brand continuity. Livia said our brand was emotional recovery with snacks. Nor said brands required consent forms. Iris photographed the pins on the table, and Marco, who had learned nothing from the conga incident, said we should all dance badly as a matter of principle. So I went. Not in velvet. Not in silver. Just jeans, a soft blue top, and the little moon pin on my collar. At sunset, when the music started, I looked toward the front steps.
Dry.
Empty. Harmless. Then I looked at the people waiting for me under the fairy lights. Not perfect people. Livia still picked fights with vending machines. Nor still over-explained rules when nervous. Iris still hid behind her camera when feelings got too direct. Marco still fixed everyone's problems except his own time management. Talia still considered glitter a food group. They were real, which was better than perfect. I danced that night too.
Still badly.
Maybe worse. At one point, Livia spun me too fast, and I crashed into Marco, who saved his drink but not his dignity. Iris captured the exact moment, and instead of fearing the photo, I laughed until my ribs hurt. That was how I knew I was healing. Not because no one could embarrass me anymore. Anyone can be embarrassed. Healing was knowing the people holding the camera loved you more than the joke. Healing was seeing your own ridiculous face frozen mid-laugh and not searching for cruelty in the frame. Healing was sitting alone once and discovering you did not have to stay alone to prove you were strong. On the last day of school, I arrived early and went to the cafeteria before anyone else. The vending machine table sat in morning light, scratched and wobbly, waiting for another year of students who would think it was just an ugly table near the bins. I ran my fingers over the surface and found, carved tiny near the edge, a moon. Probably Talia. Definitely Talia. Under it, in Iris's neat handwriting, someone had written, "Let them talk." I smiled so hard my eyes burned. In my first life, those words had been loneliness disguised as courage. In this one, they meant something else. Let them talk, because the people who matter will ask. Let them talk because silence is not always defeat. Let them talk because you do not need to audition for a chair at a table built to collapse under you. When roll call started that morning, Vanessa sat 2 rows ahead of me. We were not friends. We were not enemies in the dramatic sense either. Her social kingdom had shrunk, but it had not vanished. Girls like Vanessa always find people willing to mistake glamour for warmth. Sometimes I caught her looking at me with an expression I could not fully read. Anger, maybe. Regret, maybe. Calculation, probably. I no longer needed to know. That was freedom too. Not monitoring her downfall. Not measuring my worth against how much she lost. Just living beyond the scene she wrote for me. When the teacher called my name, I answered clearly. Present. Livia whispered. Emotionally debatable. Nor kicked her chair. Iris hid a laugh. Marco dropped his pen. Talia, who was not even in our grade, but had somehow appeared at the door with a hall pass, gave me 2 thumbs up. I laughed, and the sound filled my chest without hurting. If anyone ever tells you sitting alone is the worst thing that can happen in school, they are wrong. The worst thing is sitting with people who make you feel alone and calling it friendship because the chair is familiar. The worst thing is laughing at jokes that cut you, paying for tables that exclude you, carrying secrets for people who would sell yours for applause. Sitting alone is frightening, yes. It feels like the whole room has become a mirror. But sometimes, when you stop begging for a place where you are tolerated, the people who actually see you finally have room to sit down. I died once chasing a table that never wanted me. I lived again because I chose the ugly little table near the vending machines, took 1 bite of a terrible chicken wrap, and let the right people find me before the music started.